Good morning. Thanks for attending. Oh, not yet. I think I'm live now. Good morning. Thanks for attending. My name is Kent Moya, and I've been a software engineer for close to 30 years now. I'm here today to talk to you about how it's possible to be part of a fun, energetic, nimble startup team within a $16 billion multinational organization like Emerson. At Emerson, I'm the software director for the cargo team, which is part of the Emerson Digital Solutions Group. Digital Solutions is part of a larger organization within Emerson called Cold Chain. And what we do is drive innovation to make the world a healthier, safer, better place with a focus on food safety, food quality, and sustainability. Within Digital Solutions, we have several groups monitoring buildings, marine transport, food safety, healthcare, and cargo, which is my team. At Cargo specifically, what we do is monitor refrigerated shipments on trucks, ships, and airplanes, providing environmental monitoring such as temperature, humidity, combined with location data all in real time. This tells our customers exactly where their cargo is and if it's being maintained at a safe temperature, if it's going to arrive on time, and so on. So essentially, we're an IoT business using some pretty cool technologies to gather, process, and present all this data. Probably a lot to digest, all the groups and divisions and teams within Emerson, and I understand that. So what I want to talk about today is that it is possible to be part of a big organization like this and still maintain that innovative, nimble startup mentality. When I was with the company that was acquired by Emerson before it became Cargo, it was a startup, and it was just like any other startup, a fast-paced, innovative, fun, cool place to work. But when we were acquired by Emerson, Emerson maintained that for us and allowed us to keep that innovation and that fun, nimble culture going on. So specifically, what I want to talk about today is how my team, the software team, maintains a fun, nimble startup culture within Emerson, talk a little bit about what we do, how we do it, and how we maintain that culture in a big organization. So first, I'm going to talk about some of the cool problems that we solve. I mentioned that we monitor shipments in real time. And so what that really means is making sure that things like frozen food and so on are monitored for temperature, CO2, humidity, and so on, and make sure that we don't lose those shipments. For example, some of the things we do is work with law enforcement to track and assist with the recovery of stolen cargo. We had a case where we helped law enforcement locate and recover a truckload of pistachios, which was worth over $100,000. And some of these shipments are extraordinarily valuable. And that was kind of cool to be a part of that. And then we also are constantly innovating new monitoring metrics beyond just temperature, like I mentioned, CO2, humidity. We have monitored fuel levels and so on in trucks, all of the environmentals about how the truck's working. We've done all that kind of stuff, and we're always looking for new ways that we can more effectively and innovatively provide, a way for our customers to know that their goods are secure and well handled. Another cool technology that we recently have been working on is helping our customers determine if their trucks are following the correct path, right? The predefined route they should be taking, which helps to eliminate the threat of hijacking, drug smuggling, and so on. If you imagine some of these trucks driving through other countries that have routes that are poorly maintained or may go through areas that aren't very safe, they're prone to hijacking, or if a truck stops where it shouldn't and the doors are open when they shouldn't be, there's a high indication that somebody may be putting in cargo or taking out cargo that they shouldn't be. All of that's the kind of stuff that we monitor and notify our customers about in real time. And it's cool to be a part of that because we're actually doing something that makes the world a better place, but it's also a lot of fun. Some of the technologies we use to do that is, well, we're 100% cloud-based, right? So, and we use AWS, we use Azure. The bottom line is we use whatever tool makes the most sense for the job. And one of the cool things about working here is that we are never forced into technology at the corporate level. So some large organizations, people have a misconception that, well, we're a Microsoft shop or we're an AWS shop and that's all there is to it. It's not the case. In my team within Emerson, we get to choose our own destiny when it comes to tools, platforms, software, anything without any corporate pressure. In fact, we get corporate encouragement to do so. So if one of my engineers comes to me and says, we want to start using, this new type of tool, right, for, continuous integration, for example, we review it, we make sure it's the right tool. If everyone agrees and the team wants to do it, it's my job as the director to go and get the approval to do so, and we move forward with it. And that's how we've managed to build all of our tool sets and all of our technology using the tools that make sense for the team and the tools that the team wants to use. Another cool technology that we work with a lot is cell phone triangulation. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware of how that works, but basically our devices that we put in the trucks to monitor the location and temperature are basically like little cellular devices. So getting the accurate location of a device locked in a metal box without GPS is challenging. So some of the cool stuff we get to do is work with the triangulation of the cell tower information and use that for real-time tracking and determine if a truck is going to be late and so on. I mentioned IoT earlier, and I'm sure everyone here has heard of IoT, of course. But the cool thing for us is that we actually started this several years ago, before IoT was even a thing. So we built our own IoT stack from scratch, which was challenging and fun, and also a cool thing to work on. And now that IoT is obviously a much more mainstream and available as almost built-in widgets in AWS and Azure and so on, we're rebuilding our infrastructure today, streamlining processes using modern tools and techniques and so on from the offerings from these cloud providers. We also focus on using the latest web technologies. Right now we use Angular and .NET Core, and again, that was a choice by the software development team. They researched several different technologies and determined which one made the most sense for what we were going to build, what tools they wanted to use, and that's what they settled on, and that's what we're using, and it's been very successful. And it makes the team happy to be able to be part of that, to use the tools that they like. We're also very, I would say, leading edge in some of our mobile app technologies. We do iOS and Android native development, but we also do Xamarin and Flutter development. Again, whatever the best tool for the job is, no pressure from the corporate team to tell us what we have to do. It's kind of fun to be able to just, research and use the tools that make the most sense and get the job done. We use a lot of different database technologies. We have a lot of IoT data, a very high transaction volume. If you imagine, we're monitoring tens of thousands of devices in the field every day that are constantly sending in messages with temperature information and location and so on. It's a very high transaction volume environment. So of course we use technologies like SQL Server and so on, but we also use NoSQL, data lake technologies, blockchain. We have to process things like geographic data, right? So some things that are not just your normal mainstream, what you would consider database type data. And that makes it really challenging, but also a lot of fun, coming up with algorithms and tools to be able to determine quickly, how many devices are within a specific geographic region, or if any of the devices have moved or in and out of a region when they should or shouldn't be, all that kind of stuff. It sounds simple on the surface, but if anyone has ever worked with location-based data before, it can be daunting, and it's a lot of fun. It's cool. We're also working very heavily on data analysis using Snowflake. With the volume of data that we have from our devices in the field, we're obviously want to use that data to be able to provide insights and analysis for our customers to see, what are some of the best ways to ship their goods and so on. So we're working on those kinds of tools, and probably the thing that I guess most closely touches some of the people in this hackathon is the data analysis and so on, dealing with those large data sets and really trying to figure out, where those trends and patterns are and how we can make value out of that data for our customers. We also obviously use, the most current, web services, REST APIs and so on, just to, round all that out. But really, the bottom line is the team is always looking really for the next technology to leverage. I meet with my software team constantly. We're always in communication, and, if the guys that work and the guys and girls that work on my team really enjoy what they do, for them, this is, working with software is kind of like a hobby, like me. I mean, it's the reason I've been doing this for 30 years. And, we're all always researching and looking for that next technology. And, whenever somebody comes with something that they want to use and brings it to the team, we are always open to new ideas. Another fun thing that's cool about working here is it's just a good environment for the developers. We have everyone here on our team are highly experienced people. They're all experts in their field, people with 10, 20 plus years experience. We're always looking to add new talent, fresh perspectives. So if anyone's interested, I can give you the contact information for the right person at Emerson to discuss about career opportunities. But we're always looking to grow the team, and we're always looking for people with that fresh perspective and who want to be part of that kind of environment, that kind of culture. And the theme I'm trying to underscore here is that, I've been doing this for a long time, and I have to say, just don't be daunted or I guess scared by applying at a large organization or thinking that you're going to be a small piece in a big machine. Really, it's not the case at all. There's room for everyone to shine. On my team, every individual, I know who each one is, and it's interesting and fun to talk to each of them, and I know what each person's strengths are and what they do and so on, because we work together a lot, and they are all individuals, and they all get to be I guess shine in their own way, right? So, and we, as far as the environment, we use Agile principles for software development. Again, I'm sure everyone's familiar with Agile and how it's adaptable, and we've adapted Agile to what makes the most sense for us, as you should. And again, as the team was very heavily involved with defining the Agile process that we use, so that the software development cycle that we follow is effective and functional, but also what the software developers like. Another important thing that I want to mention here is that within my division at Emerson and the cargo group, we're shielded from some of the what you might consider like corporate bureaucracy. So, it's, of course, a large corporation has a lot of overhead, bureaucratic components to it, or at least they seem bureaucratic, right? From the perspective of someone working as a software engineer, they're all extremely important to managing a larger operation like Emerson. But those are the pieces that a software engineer, while you need to be aware of course, how things work, you don't really need to worry about, being involved at that level. So the cool thing is that there are levels, there's direct, manager level and director level like myself, who make sure that the team is kept in that nimble, startup culture. Another cool thing is that, there's a lot of latitude for individual problem solving, I like to call it, where, again, you're not just a little piece in a big machine. Many of our software engineers, in fact, probably all of them, get to work at different times on individual projects and problems that customers bring to us or that our internal team brings to us. So there's a lot of room for innovation and ingenuity and problem solving within the team, which I think is something that's attractive, at least to me anyway, as a software engineer, because, we all want to solve problems. I mean, that's what we're here for at the hackathon for, right? So that's something that we really, really try to keep going. And instead of just dictating solutions for the team to build, we really work hard from my level all the way down to try to get, at the problem the customer is trying to solve, or the problem that, that the business is trying to solve, and bring those problems to the team so that the team as a group or even as individuals have a chance to work on building solutions for those problems. And I think that's really key here, is that for me, having worked in many startups in my career, that's one of the most fun things about a startup mentality, is that you're constantly problem solving, wearing different hats. You may be an expert in C#, .NET development, but there's no reason you can't look at, how to solve something, using JavaScript or Angular, whatever makes the most sense for the problem you're trying to solve at the time, or database tools or whatever. A lot of our developers work across disciplines because they have the experience, or because they want to get that experience. And that's one of the cool things, is, opportunity to work in any part of the development team and learn different technologies. We don't have teams that are fast and fixed, right, in a specific technology or in a specific project. The way our agile process works is we try to deliver, small pieces of value as quickly as we can, right? But in manageable chunks. And, generally each of the teams that work on each of those individual components that we're developing are new every time. And what I mean by new is that it's, you're frequently working with different people. It's all one big team, but you get a chance to, this time focus on API development. Next week, you might be focusing on, talking to the database guys about how we're going to structure a new table to support a particular problem we're trying to solve. There's a lot of room to move around, and we encourage that a lot within our team, which is, again, it's kind of a carryover from our startup days, and we're trying to maintain that. Everyone gets to wear a lot of hats, and it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. And that also dovetails into what I said before about our adoption of new technologies. Again, as somebody who is an expert in a particular technology, spends some time working with a different part of the team on different technologies, right? So moving from like web development to API coding, that person may have, he or she may have some really good insight from being a consumer of APIs to the developer of APIs, to shed some insight for the API team on how we would, better build the API interface for some of the consumers of that, so for example, right? So that gives us, again, kind of fits into the whole startup mentality, but also gives us the ability to let people use their skills and strengths and learn new stuff. And having said all that, there are ample growth opportunities within our team and within Emerson in general, whether you're interested in, a path within engineering, management, whatever, all of that's available. Emerson is, again, having worked in many places, I can honestly say that Emerson is very, very, very big on trying to develop its people. Emerson as a company understands that people really are the key to making all this work. And which is why we're able to maintain a team like we have, and and keep this kind of nimble startup mentality going, to keep people happy and enjoying working here. The cool thing really is that since we are market driven, right, and like I mentioned, how we get problems presented directly to us from salespeople and marketing and so on, that are real customer problems. It's cool to see that the work you do has a direct impact on the product and the customer experience. I myself, in my tenure here, I've coded a lot of stuff, and I understand what that's like, and it's fun. It's engaging, challenging, but it's a lot of fun, and it's cool to see that you working on a tool or a new UI or whatever it is, and that's going to go in directly into somebody's hands, and it's going to have direct impact, not just on the customer and the business and the product and so on, but really what we do. What I mentioned earlier, food safety and healthcare monitoring and so on. That's actually kind of cool to know that we're kind of making a difference in the world and delivering safe products to people on time. It's rewarding. It's not just a big machine cranking money, right? It's really not like that at all. There are a lot of good people here who really have their heart and soul focused on doing the right thing. And that's one of the nice things about working at Emerson in general, but specifically within cold chain and digital solutions, what we get to do has direct impact on, sustainability, food safety, and so on. And as I mentioned earlier, because of that and because of the rapid growth in that sector as far as food safety and so on, and the Food Safety Modernization Act and people, farm to table and all this kind of stuff, people demanding fresh products and food safety and so on, that really, again, kind of helps us to focus on, feature focused projects and so on that are not these long-term, huge, 1-year plan type deals where you're a software engineer on a team that's building a product that is, your piece of that product is like a 12-month project. That's more of a kind of big company historical mindset. And that's not how we are at all. We break that project and that product into multiple pieces. We're constantly focusing on innovation and building the next cool piece, and focusing on how we can grow our team and let them work on the pieces of those projects that are interesting to them and that have a direct impact. And all of that gives us the ability to quickly change plans to address changes in the market, right? So again, having worked in multiple startups, one of the key components, in my opinion, to working at a startup is that you've got to be quick. You've got to be nimble. You've got to pivot. And again, after having been acquired by Emerson several years ago, our team has not been hindered. In fact, we've grown in our ability to be able to react quickly and pivot and so on, based on market need, based on customer requirements, based on what our internal team brings to us. And that's fun. That's actually really, really kind of cool. And it's not at all what I think a lot of people expect from a large corporation, where it takes months to make a change or to adjust to a market change or anything like that. We have maintained our startup mentality and have been able to really get features and changes and so on out very quickly, but with high quality. And that's one of the advantages of working for a large organization, is you have the backing of the experience and funding and security of a big organization that is going to be there for the long haul, but get to do the fun things and the exciting things that you normally would only find in a startup. So it's kind of a really cool balance. And like I mentioned before, the team structure within the software group and cargo is very dynamic. So all of this combined, I think, really makes this kind of a cool place. It's a fun place to work. It's exciting, and it's challenging, but it's fun, and it's not what a lot of you, I think, would normally think about as a startup. So that's all I had to talk about today. But if anybody has any questions or anything, please let me know. I've got a few minutes left here in my presentation to talk. If anybody has anything they want to ask me.
Hey, Kent.
Hey, Maxim. How are you?
So much. I am doing great. Super excited. This was a great presentation. I'm so glad that we were able to have you here from Emerson.
Thanks.
I was wondering, so I think it seems like an advantage of having the culture that you all do is that you have the resources, to still be nimble.
Yeah.
But still have the almost like a scrappy attitude. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about what it's like to have the culture you do, but still, have the resources of a large organization like Emerson.
Yeah. So I touched on that a little bit at the end here, and I probably should have focused on that more, because I'll be honest, like I said, I've worked for multiple startups, and even the startup that I was with that was acquired by Emerson, we were doing well, we were growing, but being part of a startup can be scary. There are days when you're not sure if we're gonna be around next week, right? The nature of the beast. You're looking for that next round of funding. You're looking for that next VC, right? You've got a board who's always looking for more money and who wants their investment returned quickly. So working for Emerson, when we were acquired by Emerson, one thing that sticks with me that I was told by the president of the division that acquired us was that we're acquiring you because you guys are good at what you do, and we want to keep you doing what you do, and we don't want to mess that up. And I tell you what, they've been true to that, and it's been really cool to, like you said, to be able to maintain that fast-paced, really fun, nimble startup mentality, but not have to worry if we're going to be in business next week. It's a cool balance. Yeah. And I hope that a lot of other, I hope that everyone understands what I'm saying here. It's kind of hard and maybe difficult to understand if you haven't really worked in a startup, but it's challenging. So it's cool. I hope I answered your question, but being part of what I would call like a nimble team within a large organization is a really cool balance.
No, that was exactly it. And what advice would you have to people who are, interested in getting into the kind of work that you do now?
Yeah. My advice to anyone in general in career is do what you like first and foremost, right? So I assume you're all in some technology field because that's what you enjoy. And if you do what you like, it's never going to be work. Having said that, assuming you're in a technology field and you're interested, I can give you specifically a contact at Emerson, who can get you started on career opportunities within Emerson. Emerson is like currently hiring, always hiring people, looking for that next good talent, right? The next fresh perspective. So my advice would be to, put together your resume, your CV of what you've done, at school, that's specific, projects and so on. And don't be daunted by saying, well, I don't know if I want to apply for a $16 billion corporation when I don't have any work experience, or all I did was some internship. That's fine. In fact, that's oftentimes preferred because some of the best, smartest talent is, found from people right out of school, So experience should not be a deterrent, or lack of experience should not be a deterrent or determining factor. Right. Don't be shy about applying.
I think there are also a lot of participants here who might even still be looking for that first professional experience, whether that first internship. Maybe they've worked on projects. They're obviously here at Hacklyitcs, so they're making something. But could you talk a little bit more about even getting over that initial gap of just having some side projects and to being able to justify that as your experience going into a first internship or something like that?
Oh yeah. So if I'm understanding you correctly, I would absolutely. So me so I'm the director of the software team. So I'm involved with hiring people. If I see somebody who has got the education background, right, and experience doing projects that may not be specifically work projects, but fill your resume up with cool stuff that you've done. Show examples. Some of the cool resumes that I've seen have links to their website, and to show some of their work. And I think there's a lot of value to that, really. Absolutely. Because, that the people on my team, like I mentioned earlier, do this for fun. And that's what I want, that's what we want. We want people who enjoy this stuff. And so projects and things that you've done really show not just your talent, but your drive. And I think that's a key to a lot of it, is that drive and that interest in doing this stuff for a living because it's fun.
I totally agree. Kent, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you on. I think our attendees also definitely learned a lot.
Next time I can do it in person, that'd be cool.
That's what we hope to. That's what we hope to. Yeah, we'll be back in person next year. And
cool.
It'd be great. So Vivek already mentioned a couple times in the chat throughout this, but for anybody who wants to learn a bit more or figure out who to contact at Emerson, that information is going to be in Discord. But in just a minute, we're going to go offline for literally 60 seconds, and we'll be back with our next talk. So again, Kent, thank you so much. And
thank you.
Stay tuned if you're watching.
All right. Thanks, everybody.